All right, John, thanks for coming in. We're here to do your assessment today. It's a risk and needs assessment. I talked a little bit about this the first time you came in. Today we're going to do the interview for it.
Okay.
So I say it's a risk assessment because it's going to determine what your supervision level is going to be moving forward, but also it's a needs assessment as well. So within this, it's going to tell us kind of what aspects of your life we can work on during the course of supervision. And so when we're done today, we'll go ahead, or rather the next time you come in, we'll review the results of the assessment, and then we'll figure out what kind of goals we can create out of that. And what we do is we build what we would call a behavior change plan based on the information that we capture today in the assessment. I'll take some notes here and there just to make sure everything's accurate. And when we review everything, there really shouldn't be any question about the information that's there. We should really be in agreement with what the information that we have. Do you have any questions about this?
I don't think so. How long do you think this will take?
Shouldn't take more than 45 minutes or so.
Okay. All right.
Great. First thing I want to talk to you about is, do you remember the first time you ever got in trouble with the law?
Yeah, it was about 4 or 5 years ago. It was a burg. I broke into a garage. Well, I didn't even really break in. There was a garage that was open. I was just going through this neighborhood on my bike, and I saw some tools just sitting there. And so I took them, and then I tried to pawn them, and I got caught.
Okay. What do you remember what you got charged with or convicted of?
It was a Berg 2.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. And what was the result of that conviction?
I mean, I did some probation time, and I successfully completed it down the road. But yeah, it was a Berg 2.
Okay.
I did some probation.
How did probation go for you?
I mean, it went okay. I had one violation, but other than that, I was fine.
Okay. Okay. Do you remember what the violation was for?
Yeah, I mean, I got a dirty UA. I was using meth at the time, and
Using meth.
yep.
Okay.
So I got a dirty UA for meth.
Okay. And so this is 4 years ago. So you would have been about how old?
I was 40.
40. Okay. All right. When was the next time you got in trouble with the law?
I mean, after I got off supervision, I got a PCS for meth, so I had to go back onto supervision for that.
What was it on that time around on supervision? What was it like?
Same deal. You know, I did fine. I got along good with my PO, but I also had another violation for a dirty UA. I had another meth UA.
Okay. Did you successfully complete probation, like it sounded like you did the first time, or?
No, I kind of screwed up a couple. I got into some trouble, and because of that meth use, I got a revoke. So,
Okay.
so I did some jail time for that, and then did another year of PPS.
Post prison. Okay. All right. During your time that you were in custody, that was just local time at the county jail.
Yep.
What was your experience like in the jail? Did you get in any kind of trouble when you were locked up?
No, I did fine. I worked hard. I just did the programs that they offered. I ended up getting to go out and wash cars for the deputies and all that stuff. So I was fine. I didn't really have any problems.
Okay. And now you're on probation again, right? You're on probation for.
Well, this you mean what am I what did I do? Yeah. So I got this shoplifting deal where I took some stuff from Tech City, and they saw me running out, and then I got in my car and took off, and so they tracked me down later that day. And,
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. So the first time you ever got in trouble was about 4 years ago, in trouble with the law, and that was for Berg 2, burglary in the second degree, and you went to someone's garage and took some things and tried to pawn them and got caught for that, right? And you got probation, and you had a violation for using drugs, for using meth, but you completed that probation successfully. And then the next time you got in trouble with the law, that was for PCS meth. And you didn't do so well on probation that time around, got a couple violations again for drug use, and ended up getting your probation revoked. You did some time in the county jail. But you had a decent experience there. You didn't get any trouble, no misconducts or anything like that. And then that supervision ended. You were put on post-prison supervision. And then you are now finding yourself on probation again for theft in the first degree. Is that right? And this stems from you called it a shoplifting incident from a tech store, that sort of thing.
That's right.
Okay. And so any other trouble, as a juvenile, that you ever got into?
No.
Or the very first time you had any kind of legal problems was, again, just 4 or 5 years ago?
Right.
With
it was
the
just
Berg 2.
just that first one.
Okay. All right, John, I want to ask you a little bit about your job. Are you working right now?
Well, yeah, I've been working at the same meat packing plant for 4 years, and it's a great job. I'm really happy there. So yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
When you say 4 years, is that 4 years straight, no breaks, no interruptions, or anything like that?
Yeah, other than that, when I had to go to jail for more than for more than a couple days, that they even kept my job for me then. I mean, I was able to get back out, and
Oh wow.
yeah, I've been there 4 years.
And is that full time,
Yeah.
40 hours a week?
Yep,
With
40.
the exception of a few breaks, like you
Yeah,
mentioned.
yeah, but yeah, full time, 40 hours a week. Every once in a while, I end up getting on some overtime. So
Nice.
Yep, full time.
Okay. What about school history? What was school like for you?
Well, yeah, I graduated from high school. I played sports, did the whole thing.
That's
It was-
great.
Yeah.
That's great. Did you ever get in any kind of trouble when you were in school?
I skipped school every once in a while. And I guess I got busted. I skipped enough school that I got suspended, and it was a 2-day suspension from school. So I didn't get to go to school for not going to school.
Right.
Yeah.
So so they actually prevented you from being able to go back to school. This wasn't an in-school suspension.
Right.
This was an out-of-school.
Out of school suspension. I had
Got
to
it.
stay home. I remember my mom being really mad because she had to take 2 days off from work.
Got it.
So
Okay. So it sounds like you have a pretty good relationship with your employer. They
Yeah.
even in times when you've had to go to jail, unfortunately, you've been able to keep your job.
yeah, they've
What-
been really flexible.
What's your relationship like with your supervisor, your boss?
Yeah, he's a great guy. He, work stuff. It's great. It's great.
Okay. So a pretty good relationship with him.
Yeah, I would say, I respect him. I think he's a good guy. I think he's a hard worker, and we talk about work stuff. If I have a problem at work, I can talk to him about work, and yeah.
Do you know each other personally? Do you ever see each other
No.
outside of work?
No, no, we don't hang out or anything like that. But at work, everything's great.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. What about your coworkers, your peers there? What's your relationship like with them?
They're great. Everybody there seems to, appreciate the job, and they work hard, and so I think we get along because we have a sense of, like pride in what we're doing.
Great.
So we all work hard.
Great.
Yeah.
Do you hang out with them outside of work? Are those people you consider to be close friends, or?
No, not really. No, we don't hang out after work. We get along at work, and then we say, "Hey, see you tomorrow," and then that's all.
Okay.
Yep.
And what you said this is a meat packing plant.
Yep.
How would you rate your performance?
We get yearly evaluations, and I've gotten good marks, high marks on those evaluations. I've gotten a couple of raises in the last 4 years, so
Nice.
things are good.
Yeah. Is there any awards or anything, or any special recognition other than kind of meeting?
No, nothing like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So you would say you meet expectations
Yeah,
there.
yeah. Yeah.
Would you say you like exceed expectations, or you kind of?
It's a meat packing plant,
Sure.
so. I do my job. My boss says I do a good job. They're really, I just do what I need to do, and I think people respect the work I do, and yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. So you've worked at the same meat packing plant for the last 4 years,
Yep.
consistently, full time, 40 hours a week. Even at times when you've had to go to jail, you've been able to keep your job.
Right.
Right. You graduated from high school.
Yep.
And you played sports. You had a good experience there, but you did get in trouble for skipping class too much, and it resulted in a 2-day out-of-school suspension.
Correct.
Okay. And you talked a little bit about your relationship with your coworkers and your supervisor, and you said it was really good. You guys aren't really close. You don't spend time outside of work, and you really keep your conversations kind of oriented towards the work that you do there. But overall, you have good relationships with those folks. And then lastly, we talked a little bit about your work performance, how you definitely meet all expectations. You're getting your kind of your raises on time. You don't. It doesn't sound like you go really above and beyond, but you're right there meeting expectations for everyone
Yeah,
there.
that sounds right.
Fantastic.
Yep.
All right, John. I'm going to ask you a little bit about your family and maybe a relationship you might be in
Okay.
now. All right. So are you in a relationship currently?
No, I had a girlfriend, and she was a climber, and I was helping her build her van. Once she got her van done, she dumped me for this other climber dude and moved to Europe. So, yeah, it's really hard for me sometimes. to think about that relationship.
I'm really sorry to hear that, John. When did that breakup happen?
I mean, it was just like a month or two, like a month ago, just
Okay.
a month ago.
So pretty fresh.
Yeah.
For you.
Yeah.
Okay. What was the relationship like when you guys were together?
It was fun. You know, we were fun. It was fine. Yep.
Are you still in touch with her at all?
No, I mean, she moved to Europe, and no.
Okay.
We're not in any kind of contact.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you prefer to be single, or do you prefer to be in relationships?
I mean, I've always had, a significant other, girlfriend, whatever. Yeah, I'm really sad about being alone right now. I don't like it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Fair enough. Let me ask you about your relationship with your parents. What's that like?
They're great. They are my support. They're both hardworking. They both have jobs. They're pro-social. And when we get together, oftentimes my, bad choices are the topic of conversations, and they wish I would do better. They wish I would, get my crap together. So when I'm, using or whatever, they just are really disappointed in me.
Okay.
Yep.
What about other family members? Are you staying in contact with other family?
I have a brother. He's a hardworking guy. He doesn't use drugs, doesn't commit crimes. He doesn't really understand my problems. He's supportive, and I know he loves me, but he's disappointed in my, when I screw things up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any other family?
Cousins and some other extended family all they kind of live in the area, and we get together like once every 3-4 months or so for big family dinners, whatever. But nobody else involved in crime, nobody else that has ever gotten in trouble or probation like me. They all want me to do good. They all wish I would get my crap together.
Okay.
Yeah.
So up until about a month ago, you were in a committed long-term relationship. And that's since ended, but and it doesn't sound like you're very satisfied with that. You prefer to be in relationships. You're kind of unhappy with the end of that relationship.
Yeah.
Okay. But when you were together, it was a good relationship. It was a healthy relationship, you'd say?
Yeah, we have a lot of fun.
Okay. And your relationship with your family, your parents first, is very good. They influence you in a good way. They encourage you to make good choices, stay clean, stay out of trouble.
Yeah.
And it sounds like that your brother and even extended family or cousins are all the same way. They really influence you in a positive way.
Yeah.
And in fact, none of them have ever been in trouble with the law, unlike yourself. You're a bit of a black sheep in that regard.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, what I want to ask you about is how you spend your time when you're not at work or you're not having to check in with me. What do you like to do?
So yeah, I mean, I don't really have any like hobbies or anything, but I I work, and then I come home, and sometimes I hang out with friends and do stuff, but nothing crazy.
Okay. What kind of stuff do you and your friends like to do?
I mean, I'll bowl or go mini golfing or something, but I'm not on a league. I don't do any sports. I don't really do a lot.
Okay. So occasionally you spend your time after work hanging out with friends, going bowling, doing kind of just fun events and things like that, but nothing with any regularity, no structure. You don't do it like on a consistent basis. Do you guys, go mini golfing every week, or is it more sporadic for you?
No, nothing with my friends. I mean, I don't take a lot of time with my friends. I mean, the only real thing I have that's really consistent in my life is, I spend some time on Thursday nights. I go and have dinner with my family, and so that's every Thursday we have dinner together.
Nice.
And that's it. I mean, so I spend probably 3 or 4 hours a week at my mom and dad's, and my brother comes over, and sometimes other family members, if they're in town, come over. And we just hang out and talk. We just hang out there. But I don't like friends. It's nothing regular with friends.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, John. So this next section is called companions. I'm going to ask you about your friends and your acquaintances, and they make that distinguish. They distinguish between those two, friends and acquaintances. How would you describe the difference between those two?
I mean, I guess like acquaintances are just people that I know from work or wherever, and then friends are people that I would spend a lot of time with and talk to more and just be more close to.
Sure. So acquaintances would be people that you know and you see occasionally, and you spend time with on a regular basis, but you don't maybe spend as much time with them as compared to friends. Maybe you don't trust them quite as deeply as much, and you wouldn't consider yourself as close to them as you would with friends.
That sounds good.
Great.
Okay.
So what can you tell me about your acquaintances?
I mean, I've got these, I don't know, like everybody I know, everyone that I know, seems to use drugs or is involved in, probation or something. But there's probably 4 or 5 people that I know that are just acquaintances or whatever. I mean, yeah.
So you have about 4 or 5 people that you hang out with from time to time. You see them around, and they're kind of up to no good. They're using drugs, that sort of thing.
Yeah,
Is that fair?
Probably.
Okay. What about your friends? Do you have friends people you would consider that kind of meet that criteria?
Yeah, I mean, my friends. I mean, again, they're all people that accept me, accept my lifestyle, I guess. I've got Johnny and these 2 guys, Johnny and Kenny. We've used drugs, and then this other chick named Kaylin. She shows up every once in a while, and we all hang out and. But yeah, I mean, they're people that I know have been on supervision. I know they've been in trouble, and
okay. So the people you would consider your friends, your close friends, are Johnny and Kenny and Kaylin as well. I wasn't sure.
Yeah, I mean, she's a friend.
She's a friend.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And so these are people that you see on a regular basis. You hang out. You consider yourself pretty close, and but they've been in and out of jail or been on supervision before, and they tend to use drugs as well. That's the kind of and that's the way they influence you. Okay.
Yep.
All right. Do you have people in your life that maybe aren't involved in drugs or crime?
I mean, there's these, I would say these guys at work. There's these 5 guys, 5 guys that all at the meat packing plant and on my shift, and they're all, they are all pretty pro-social and pretty healthy. They don't seem to, get into trouble at work. They don't bring drama to work. They don't use drugs. They, they work hard. They respect people who kind of do their job.
Okay.
And so I would say those are probably guys that I would say are like that in my life.
So those 5 coworkers on your shift, they have a kind of a positive influence on you then?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, at work they do for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. But none of those guys you would consider a friend?
No. We've never hung out after work or anything like that.
Okay. So aside from your 3 friends that you mentioned, Kaylin, Kenny, and Johnny, anyone else that you would describe as a friend?
No, nobody else.
Okay. All right, John. Next I'm going to ask you about your experience using drugs or alcohol. So let's talk about alcohol first. What's your experience been like with that?
Alcohol's not my thing. I've never really liked it. It's never been my, I never really drank a lot. It's never really created problems for me. I don't drink. I just don't like it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the first time you drank, about how old were you then?
I mean, 29.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's never been a problem. I've never drank alcohol.
Never got in trouble with the law over alcohol?
No.
Any issues with your family or
No.
ability to work?
No.
Anything with
Nothing.
school? Nothing like
with
that?
alcohol, no.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Great. What about drugs? What about your experience
That's
with
a
using
different
drugs?
story. Yeah, I mean, drugs have been a real problem for me not my whole life. I was gonna say, so I started vaping marijuana when it got legalized, and that kind of led me down a road of a lot of other drug use. And this crime that I'm here for, I was high. The last, I have the PCS meth, and then previous dirty UAs, and just a lot of drug use.
When was the last time you used any drugs?
Well, after I got arrested for this, and then went to jail, and been sitting around waiting for my trial, and then I just decided not to use because I was nervous about probation, so I just haven't used for the last 90 days. So it's been 90 days.
It's been about 3 months since you used anything. Okay,
Yep.
great,
Yep.
great. All right, John. So it sounds like your experience with drugs was using marijuana or vaping marijuana to start, and then you got into methamphetamine, and it sounded like you were meth played a part in the offense for which you're on supervision now. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, meth really has been sort of interwoven to everything related to my criminality.
Okay.
It was the first crime. I was high when that happened. I was high when I got the dirty UA. Meth has been a real problem.
Okay. What kind of effect would you say that your drug use has had on your family relationships?
I mean, that's a big part of the conflict I have with my family. They really are disappointed in me, so they make it pretty clear that they wish I would get clean, and it's really been a conflict. A lot of so it's been I would say it's really put a negative impact on our relationship.
I see. Okay. What about your ability to work or go to school?
Meth kind of helps me at work. I can get a lot done. I work really hard. I've never been in trouble for it at work, nothing. So it's not a problem.
I see. Okay. And lastly, any medical or health issues that you've experienced as a result of your drug use?
No, none.
Okay. All right. So in summary, when it comes to alcohol, you really just kind of described yourself as a social drinker. You didn't start till you're about age 29, and you really didn't. It hasn't caused you any issues with work or your family or the law or any health issues or anything like that.
That's right.
And then when it comes to drugs, it's a bit of a different story. You said you started with marijuana and you began using methamphetamine. It has played a part in just about every time you've gotten in trouble with the law, up to most recently about 90 days ago when you committed the theft. Right? You were under the influence. You said you were in a 3-day binger for that.
Right.
So now when it comes to family, it's had a really terrible effect on your relationship with your family. It seems like things have been really strained as a result of your drug use. Seems like your family's pretty frustrated with you. But when it comes to work, it doesn't seem like it's really had the same level of problems for you. In fact, you kind of flipped it the other way. You kind of said it actually helps you at work in some ways. And health-wise, you also kind of said that you haven't noticed any kind of health problems or medical issues as a result of your drug use.
Yeah, it's good.
Great, thank you. All right, John, now I want to ask you a little bit about the circumstance that led up to you being here today. Can you talk to me a little bit about the incident that you were arrested on and kind of going through the court process and then being put on probation?
Yeah, I was on this 3-day binger, and I barely remember, but there was a big box of laptops, and I thought I could grab a couple of those and just run out. And so I grabbed a couple boxes and just took off. And the loss prevention guy took down my license plate, and then they arrested me a couple days later. So. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. And what about kind of going through this process, going through the court process and the sentence and being on probation?
I mean, the sentence kind of sucks. Like, I think I should have just done like a jail sentence. I don't think probation's necessary. I don't think I'm a hardworking person. I still work. I'm doing all the things I'm supposed to do. And for me to have to come in and talk to you, I don't agree. I don't think it's a good idea. It's a waste of my time, a waste of yours.
Okay. So what about the idea of treatment?
I mean, I've done treatment before. I've completed it, and I know it's wrong to use drugs. I'll figure it out on my own. I think my family's a real support to me. I'll do it if I have to, but I don't really want to.
Okay. So not really excited about the idea of being put on supervision or maybe being referred to treatment, but you are here today.
Yep.
And you said earlier you've been clean for how long?
I mean, since the incident. So it was 3 months ago. So I've been clean 3 months.
Okay. And then you're open to treatment. I know it sounded like you didn't think it would be that effective for you, but you're open to these things.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to do it.
Right.
But I mean, I'll do it if I have to.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you. So going back to the incident, it sounds like you fully admit what happened. You went into the store and kind of saw an opportunity and took some laptops and took off from the store. Can I ask a little bit more about that? Like, what was your justification for doing that at the time?
I mean, honestly, I was so high. I don't know if I have a justification. I know it was wrong. I shouldn't have done it. I just thought I could do it.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay. And what kind of goals do you have for yourself, or maybe have you set over like the past year or so?
Well, I mean, I'm still living with my folks. I've been for the last 2 years. I had kind of a setback and started living with them, and I'd like to move out. I'd like to have my own place. I just don't feel like I can get any traction around that. So I'd like to move out. I'd like to get a nicer car. I just don't feel like I have any, traction. Some of those goals.
Okay. So it sounded like drugs played a big part in this theft.
Yeah.
You're having a hard time kind of remembering some of the details. You were high at the time, but you also knew it was wrong. And despite that, you kind of a target of opportunity. You took the laptops and you committed the crime. You fully admit that. Yeah. You've had some goals that you've set for yourself that are pretty positive. Living on your own and making a little bit more money, but you haven't gotten a lot of traction over the past year. It sounds like you haven't really been able to meet those goals. And then lastly, going through this process of being sentenced to probation, it's not something that you really want to do, nor is the idea of treatment. But you've been clean for the last 90 days. You're here today. You showed up. You're going through the assessment process, which I appreciate. And it sounds like you're open to the idea if you have to, at least.
Yeah,
you're open to
I
it.
guess so.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks. All right, John. This is the last section of the assessment. Have you ever had an assessment that had anything to do with criminality at all?
No, I don't think so.
No. Ever had a forensic assessment? Anything like that?
No, nothing like that.
Okay. We've talked about, we've gone through your criminal history. I remember there was a burglary and a PCS meth, and then currently you're on supervision for theft. And I also recall that you had said that you were suspended in school, but it was for skipping school. Is that correct?
That's right.
Okay. You ever gotten any trouble for fighting of any kind?
No, not really. No, never.
And not just maybe with the law, but anything at school or at home or anything like that?
Never.
Never been an issue for you?
No.
Okay, fair enough. You've been working full time for a while, and I believe you said you lived at home. How would you rate your financial situation?
I pay my bills. I don't have any big debt. I don't have any outstanding, financial obligations. I just, wish I had more money, but I'm doing okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And you've lived at home with your folks. How long has that been?
2 years.
2 years.
Yep.
Okay. Any breaks in the past year or anything, or you've really just only lived at your parents' house?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. So you never had any forensic assessments. You have never gotten any trouble for fighting or anything like that. You lived at home for the past 2 years, and you have very little debt, and you're not in any kind of financial problems or anything like that. Okay. Is there anything else that you'd like me to know?
I've never escaped from a prison or jail.
Oh, thanks, John. I forgot to ask that question. Never escaped.
Right.
Well, that's all for the assessment. I really appreciate you coming in here and spending the time with me. Thanks again.
Okay.